How often do you find yourself saying, one day I will do that dream project? One day when I'm older? One day when I'm better? One day. Well, keep on watching and I'll tell you why your one day starts today. What's up Alpha Universe, Jacques Crafford here with another exciting tutorial. For those of you who don't know me, I make videos for a living. I specialize in tourism, travel and adventure films. Check out my website and Instagram for info and updates. Now this video is an extension of a webinar I did earlier called Grow Your Filmmaking Business. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you go check it out on the Alpha Universe page under events. My reason for making this is because people often ask me how I got into the travel game. How did I make the transition from shooting weddings to shooting outdoors and adventure? Getting the work you've always dreamed of is a topic I can truly make my own, as I took the journey from doing only weddings on weekends to traveling the world doing what I love most, adventure and shooting in the great outdoors. Before I continue, I'll elaborate a little bit more about my Sony journey. Last time I told you the story about how I made a radical career shift from studying BCom risk management going into full-time filmmaking, and how I ended up shooting only weddings for like 6 years. Now I'll share my journey on how I moved into photography and how that helped me to transition into what I'm doing now. It started in 2015 when I developed a deep love for stills photography. Until that time I've been shooting video on DSLRs but actually never took a single still, so I didn't regard myself as a photographer. It's only when I actually switched to Sony that everything changed. I was living in Jeffreys Bay and took a strong interest in surfing. I wanted to make surf films and bought a camera housing for my Sony. Then one day I accidentally took a photo and was so surprised by the result when I opened it on my computer. I was amazed by the picture quality of the Sony, especially the dynamic range. I was immediately captivated and ended up taking more photos in the ocean than video. I did this for about 6 months until water photography transitioned to landscapes. I remember it like yesterday. We hiked up Lion's Head and I actually took my Sony up with me because I wanted to capture some video clips for my portfolio. I remember reaching the summit and taking my phone out to take a photo for Instagram, and that's when it struck me. Hey, I've got a stills camera with me. I've been shooting stills in the water for so long now, I actually know how to take stills. Why don't I just use the Sony? As I posted the Sony photos on Instagram, the feedback started rolling in. Dude, what camera are you using? How do you edit your pictures? Little did I know the dynamic range was superior to other brands, and I was in possession of a photography powerhouse. This gave my images an edge and I started documenting all my adventures in this way, and that's when my Instagram started growing. The platform, together with my growth principles, gave my content an audience, and through this I was able to build up an awesome network of like-minded adventurers. The photos really helped me with my branding, since Instagram leans more towards photos, but every time I posted a video, I got new work from people who followed me for my photos. The hybrid capabilities of the Sony enabled me to brand myself as a visual artist more than just a videographer, and I still shoot commercial stills projects from time to time. Now let's jump into the good stuff. You want to get more of the work that you're passionate about, that you dream about. Since this video is an addition to my previous video about growing your filmmaking business, it might be good to first do a recap. We spoke about what you put out there is what you will attract. How the quality of what you put out is more important than the quantity. After that, I shared the principle of networking and how a network can generate more work than any form of ad spend or paid marketing. The secret, however, lies in the point when good work meets a great network. So the goal is to marry quality work and quality branding with a network of friends and industry peers. Now the first question some of you might ask is, how do I put out work if I'm not currently getting that type of work? This is where passion projects come in. Oh man, I get excited when I talk about this. Passion projects is the biggest reason I've been able to make the transition from weddings to travel and adventure. Passion projects are amazing because you don't have the pressure of client expectations and you can create a project exactly to your creative vision. What makes it even more special is if you get work from a project done according to your taste. In other words, the client will say, hey, we love what you did here. Can you do this for us? That's the position you want to be in, because now you're able to find passion in your paying projects. What if I told you that my first job to Iceland was because of a passion project? In 2016, I went to Magubaskloof with a group of friends, and the goal of the trip was to make a killer adventure film, as if for a client. It was round about the time I started making good friends with some local adventure photographers, Instagrammers with large followings. Because of my active participation in the community, commenting, going to INSTAMEETS and sharing my knowledge, they started following me. Barely a month went past when I posted my hiking video, and the next moment they asked me to go to Iceland with them to shoot for a New Zealand-based photography brand.
We all live one-day lives. We say we'll do something one day. But what if one day came today? Would you be ready? I don't think anyone could be ready for seeing something that much bigger than themselves. To see boundless waterfalls cascading down mountains that hold the secrets of the world. To gaze upon the vast beauty of the land of fire and ice. To be in Iceland.
This adds to my point I made about networking and engaging with your community. If what you're putting out there coincides with the needs from your network, it will always translate into more work. Let me elaborate. What I'm about to share with you is the most important principle you have to embrace when it comes to your social networks. It's not about how many, but about who. It's not about how many people are following you, but about who's following you. There's no point in getting thousands of likes from an audience that will never go beyond a comment or a like. Likes don't pay the bills. Clients do. So, you don't need 10,000 people to follow your work, but really just about 50 to 100 people who are actually interested in working with you. And this again is why I believe that quality is more important than quantity. I got asked to go to Iceland not because I had a lot of followers, but because of the quality of my content. Content is king. Your goal is to get quality followers, and trying to cater for the masses simply based on what's popular is not the best strategy. This is why you need to create confidence in the way you post, so that when you post, those 50 to 100 people become used to the consistent quality you're putting out up until the day they need your service. So in a sense, you're selling to them for months, sometimes even years, with the work you put out. Now I have another example where this happened, even on a bigger scale. I've been dreaming of hiking in the Himalayas for many years, and in December 2018 I finally planned a trip with close friends of mine, but the idea was to create content for my portfolio. Yes, a holiday turned into a passion project, but the goal was clear: shoot like it's for your biggest client. The funny thing is, the moment I posted this video, I landed my two biggest clients of my career. They were following me on social media and the visuals resonated with them to the point where they wanted to work with me. One of these clients I actually met in a coffee shop. We had a chat for about 10 minutes until he asked me for my Instagram handle. I remember him taking his phone out like that and he glanced over my profile for like 15 seconds and he said, "Wow man, we should work together." We finished our conversation and parted ways. And I didn't hear from him for 2 months. Minutes after sharing my Nepal video, I got a message from him saying he wanted to meet and talk about working together. I ended up going to Turkey 3 times creating various projects for the Turkish government. I saw the country like few people ever will, and yet these trips turned out to be most lucrative. The thing about passion projects is you might have to invest some of your own capital, but you don't have to break the bank. This is where collaboration and bartering comes in. Let's face it, the word collaborate is synonymous with let's work for free. The fact remains that working for free and collaborating with the right people can take your business to the next level. A good way to collaborate and increase your production value is by partnering with a team of specialized individuals in your network. Location-wise, reach out to a venue that can benefit from a project being shot there. Find a makeup artist and models who's happy to work for a fresh portfolio piece. Involve a writer to produce the copy. Get someone to do the lights. Heck, even get a dedicated sound guy. As long as your idea will add value to these parties, they will jump on board and give you their best. Once you have a portfolio piece with bigger credentials, it's easier to quote for the next one and use these same individuals if you enjoyed working with them. Okay, now you've got some work on your portfolio, yet clients aren't exactly running towards hiring you. What do? Approaching brands. Some of my favorite projects came into being because I initiated communication with a company or a brand. There's a saying that goes like this: if you never ask, the answer is always no. I'm not saying you should beg for work, but not asking will get you nowhere. This brand film I made for Freedom of Movement is a prime example of this. I had the idea of going to St. Helena Island with the hopes of shooting the first commercial video ever produced on the island. I did some research and was looking for brands to partner with. Freedom of Movement was one of the brands that resonated with my vision, and within 24 hours I got a reply from them. Turns out they've been following me on Instagram for a while, which added credibility to my name. After a quick chat, they agreed to send us over, and it turned out to be a wonderful portfolio piece for me. The project was such a joy to shoot, since I did it exactly the way I wanted, and the client was happy without trying to change the concept or interfere with my creativity. So yes, it's okay to ask. Sometimes you won't get the desired response or even a reply at all. But if you never try, you'll never know. So even if you send out 10 emails, you just need that one yes. Don't come across as desperate, but rather acknowledge that you love what the brand stands for and that working with them will be beneficial to both parties. Before you send out any mails of this sort, make sure your branding is polished and that your portfolio reflects the value of what you're asking for. Another way of building up your portfolio in your niche is to partner with brands who fit within your niche. Brands that reflect what you stand for. This is where you shoot in exchange for merchandise. You're not doing it for the merch, but there's no harm in getting merch and growing your portfolio. Partnering with bigger brands also adds credibility to your name and inspires confidence for smaller companies to work with you. There's a lot of outdoor brands who's open to this, but you have to communicate your goal and be clear about what your vision is, because you don't want to end up compromising on your creativity just because you involve the brand. Networking 2.0. The last time I spoke about networking, I mostly referred to online networking because of the nature of the lockdown. But what happens when the lockdown ends? Physical meetups is crucial to building strong relationships, and I have hundreds of examples where these meetups translated into work. One of the biggest ones has to be INSTAMEETS. In 2016, there was a massive trend for Instagrammers to meet up and shoot together. After attending my first InstaMeet, I was so inspired I started my own InstaMeets in Jeffreys Bay. The first meet had only 10 people, mostly friends, but we had so much fun and we had the pictures to show for it. The next one grew double in size, and before we knew it, we had guest speakers coming in and live band performances, followed by group eat-outs at restaurants. It was glorious. At these InstaMeets, I met some amazing people that over time translated into all kinds of work. Soon, I made it my mission to reach out to adventure photographers all over South Africa, and my goal was to go on as many Insta missions as possible. On these excursions, we would simply shoot together, chat and learn from each other. I made some of my very best friends this way, and it's still the strongest part of my network. I also developed a great appreciation for nature and the outdoors, and it's ultimately what inspired me to pursue a career in it. So how does physical meetups look for you? Well, it starts with your niche. Back when I did weddings, I joined a Facebook group started by one of my friends called the South African Event Filmmakers Association. For months, we had chats on the group, sharing ideas, sharing our struggles, learning from each other, but more than anything, making friends with like-minded individuals. Then, in 2012, we had our first meetup, literally just a braai at someone's house. This event changed everything for me because I met some of my biggest competitors in person, and instead of experiencing the spirit of competition, I experienced an openness and friendship hard to match. The amazing thing about these meetups is that it's based on mutual interests. You will likely get along with all who attend and befriend at least 1 or 2 people. Once things become personal, everything changes and the give and take principle can kick into full effect. You will learn, you will get more work, and you will return the favor. Whatever your niche is, if you're not in a group, join one. Heck, you can even start your own. Why not propose a meetup? Out of 100 people, you really just need 10 to show up for the first one. After the photos from the first one emerge, you'll see the FOMO kicking in and more wanting to join the next time. The term INSTAMEET has pretty much died out by now, but that doesn't mean you can't meet up with your photography friends. Reach out to them and plan something. It could be a hike, a conference, a night out at a restaurant. It's more about relationship than what you actually do. The fact remains, you want to take your online contacts and convert them into real-life relationships. Another way to network is by going to co-working spaces. As freelancers who technically work from home, it's easy to step into the trap of isolating yourselves. You are not an island. Don't be an island. Co-working spaces should be seen as much more than just work away from home. Yes, you'll be more productive for sure, but the people you meet at these spaces can also translate into more work. I see too many creatives neglecting the image they're putting out there. At any point in time when someone's searching for your name, whether it be your professional or personal account, they have to get an idea of what you stand for. Make sure your work is easily accessible, even if it's just a link to your showreel or website. It's about the impression someone gets when they simply glance over your Instagram profile in a coffee shop. The time you get featured on a blog or mentioned by a page on Facebook, the first impression people get will either turn them into followers or simply someone that scrolls past. If you're someone who likes to post controversial statements or articles, make sure these are only accessible to a selective crowd and not to the general public. For example, on Facebook, someone who's not your friend. When it comes to hiring, people like to get an idea of the person behind the work. And trust me, they will go and stalk your social profiles. If you're posting radical political or religious statements, you could essentially be putting people off before they had the chance to get to know you. Now, I'm not saying don't have an opinion or don't post any personal stuff. Simply curate who gets to see what, because your public profile can really influence people's opinion of you before they even meet you. Getting back to quality over quantity, make sure your profile reflects high quality work at all times, so that if you meet someone new at any point in time, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram or in person, your profiles will reflect professionalism and inspire trust. Be presentable so that when you make a new friend, for example on Facebook, that you don't even have to try and explain to them who you are and what you do. You simply leave your page to do the talking. This is what I call being network ready. In my next video, I will share all my Instagram secrets, the do's and don'ts for effective networking, and how to get more visibility. Make sure you keep an eye out for it on the Alpha Universe site. I want to finish off with a quote that was detrimental to my pursuit in all things travel and adventure. Paul J. Myers wrote, "Whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon, must inevitably come to pass." You have to imagine yourself doing these kind of jobs. You have to ardently desire to do so in order to gain vision and drive. You have to believe it's possible in order to act in your network, act in the way you curate, and act by doing passion projects. A lot of small changes make for big differences. You've got this. Well, that's it. If this video was in any way helpful, please leave a comment below or come say hi on my Instagram page. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. For updates and current events, go and follow Sony Alpha SA on Facebook and Instagram. Bye for now.